Whatever you did to the least of these, you did to me. Most Christians know that verse. But Jesus wasn't giving us a memory verse. He was giving us a warning. He was saying, if you ignore them, you ignore me. And right now in Gaza, the least of these are crying out louder than ever. This isn't politics. This isn't about choosing a geopolitical team. This is about Jesus and whether his people will follow him when compassion finally costs something. Section 2. The human reality in Gaza. Let's talk about Gaza, not through cable news language or hashtags, but through human faces. Because what's happening right now is catastrophic suffering on a scale that defies language. These aren't numbers, they're stories. A father carrying the only surviving child he has left. A mother digging through concrete with her bare hands because everyone else she loved is beneath it. Children learning what death is before they learn how to write their names. Food is disappearing, water is contaminated, hospitals are barely standing. If this were your child, your home, your family, would you want the world to scroll past it? Section 3. Jesus' teachings about the vulnerable. When Jesus told the Good Samaritan story, he wasn't trying to inspire a coloring book page. He was detonating the idea that compassion is reserved for our group. In his story, the religious insiders walk past the wounded man, but the outsider, the enemy, the one despised, he stops. He binds the wounds. He pays the cost. In Gaza, the wounded are lying on the road again, and Jesus is asking us the same question he asked then. Will you walk past them, or will you cross the line for compassion? And when it comes to children, Jesus is even more intense. Let the little children come to me. And then he warns that harming a child is so severe that you'd be better off at the bottom of the sea with a millstone around your neck. So what do we think Jesus feels about thousands of children starving, terrified, and alone? Section 4. Jesus and violence against innocents. Blessed are the peacemakers. He didn't say, blessed are the indifferent. He didn't say, blessed are those who look away because it's complicated. And even when he was brutalized by the state, even when he was lynched by empire, he refused to dehumanize his killers. Father, forgive them. If Jesus refuses to dehumanize the people murdering him, how can we dehumanize families who are simply trying to survive? When civilian deaths get dismissed as inevitable, when children become collateral, when suffering becomes an acceptable cost, that is not the voice of Christ. That is the voice Christ came to confront. Section 5. The prophetic mirror, Christian silence. Every prophet in Scripture, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Amos, confronted injustice among their own people. They didn't look away. They didn't whisper. They didn't soften their tone to be comfortable. They spoke truth because silence is easy and silence is dangerous. And today, some Christians think staying neutral is the safe option, but neutrality in the face of suffering is not Christ-like. Here's the hard truth. If we stay silent while children suffer, we are not being neutral. We are being unavailable to God. And yes, many Christians feel torn. They want peace for Israelis and Palestinians alike. They fear saying the wrong thing. They don't want to step into a political firestorm. But Jesus never demanded political perfection. He asked for compassion, courage, presence, and compassion is never the wrong thing. Section 6. The pastoral call. What love requires now. So what do we do now? What does love require in a moment like this? First, empathy. Real empathy. Lord, break my heart for what breaks yours. Second, prayer. Not as an escape, but as fuel. Then action. Speaking for the value of every human life. Rejecting dehumanizing language about anyone. Supporting humanitarian relief. Sharing truth. Standing with the wounded instead of comforting ourselves with distance. Loving Palestinian children doesn't diminish Israeli children. Loving Israeli children doesn't diminish Palestinian ones. Compassion doesn't have sides. God's image isn't political. Every life matters because every life belongs to Him. Christianity is at its most holy when it stands with the wounded. Section 7. Closing. The gospel lens. Jesus didn't call us to choose geopolitical sides. He called us to protect the suffering. He called us to love our neighbor, every neighbor. And Palestinian children are neighbors. Israeli children are neighbors. They are all image bearers of the God we claim to follow. If we're serious about Jesus, we cannot look away. We cannot harden our hearts. We cannot ignore the cries of the vulnerable and still call it faithfulness. The gospel isn't an escape hatch from suffering. It's an invitation to walk straight toward it with courage, truth, and love. These aren't distant strangers. They are neighbors, image bearers, children Jesus would scoop into his arms, children Jesus calls us to protect. And the question every Christian must answer is simple: will we look away, or will we look like Christ?